here is Mystic against Inspire onto the Rift.
And spawning in, we shouldn't see too much of a cheeky play. We have seen a couple of instances where there were early invades, but even those have mostly been coordinated by the jungler. This time around, stacking the Amumu and the Blitzcrank could give them enough reason to try and look for something. Otherwise, we could also see the Blitzcrank just look to try and deny the jungler, because it's so difficult for junglers to pick up the buffs by themselves and delays a lot of time. It requires a lot of investment coming through, right? So the Blitzcrank just walks over and uses the rocket grab. That really punishes the enemy jungler hard.
Could have, but instead they say, all right, you know what, we don't need to be any kind of crazy. They realize, all right, that buff's not going to be started. Ward is there, though, and that gives you information where this jungle is pathing during the early portions of the game. And we have seen before that early aggression in the jungle and early first bloods being translated can be crucial to just taking over the game entirely.
And so moving into this, the early game has been pretty impactful. So Malphite actually going to be moving into the jungle, it looks like. That's a bit of a change coming through. Okay, interesting choice. Malphite moves into the jungle, but it comes back into lane. Okay, so there we go. Malphite's still going to be laning, just went over into the jungle to try and give a little bit of assistance to their side.
Yeah, I think just there to provide a little bit of assistance, trying to make that clear just a little bit faster. What I do like, though, is we are seeing a really fun skill-based matchup in that mid lane. You got a Fizz versus Zed. That's a very slippery combo between the two champions, so we might be seeing some, insane 1v1 outplay moments. We'll have to see. The one thing I do want to note, though, is for VY, that did put them down a minion or two, and like we've mentioned, it's not necessarily the end of the world, but we do see what happens if that CS as well as that experience advantage starts to grow for your opposing lane.
And the skill matchup that kind of forms in the mid lane is a little bit Fizz favored. It is kind of still difficult for the Fizz to look for the solo kill onto the Zed just by nature of the Living Shadow and being able to get away. But we've even seen Zed players optimize towards things such as the Hourglass just to be able to survive a little bit better against the Fizz burst. And that puts them back a little bit. You generally want to rush for as many damage items as possible when you're playing Zed to kind of be able to still one-shot the enemy carries and the enemy squishies. So once you start having to invest gold into expensive active items such as the Hourglass, which is 500 gold more expensive than any other upgrade.
Unfortunately, too, we're starting to see here already that level 5 being hit, and Fredo doing a really good job as well as just zoning out this Malphite from experience range. And we mentioned they're able to do it. He's been able to stall out this perfectly, but meanwhile, up and toward that bot lane, we just see True Shot Barrage coming out here. Harris able to just back off to safety, not going down too low as that level 5 is hit for the Ezreal.
Yeah, nice play coming through. That's the big part of the skill matchup, right? Dodging away from the Charm the Waters with that death mark is a huge portion of that, because there's so few other ways to dodge away otherwise. It's whoever gets to jump on first. VY drops so low here. Yeah,
can have a little bit of trouble there, but who? All right, VY maybe a little bit too close to comfort. Predator was possibly looking for that dive, but decides not to do it himself. And interesting enough, Lee Sin spotted out in toward that dragon pit, so is going to give a little bit of information here over to the side of Indonesia, and we'll see whether or not they're able to make use of kind of that knowledge. But so far, so good it seems on both sides. That top lane, though, I think is going to start becoming a little bit of a concern here for the side of Indonesia if that Olaf is continually just getting an experience lead.
I mean, it always helps if you know where the enemy jungler is. That being said, though, Lee Sin has a lot of mobility, so won't make too much of a difference. Can end up in many sides of the map at once. So far, vision control a little bit lacking on the side of Inspired. They are playing a little bit safer, though. Still have the third skill from the Ashe to at least be able to try and get a little bit of intel, to get some information as to what could be the potential play coming in from the enemy side. Otherwise, Amumu is very content with this setup right now. Continues to farm, get his items, get his tanky stats, get his tanky items, and moves into the next phase of the game while he's strong and able to take a number of these fights. It looks like Inspire are very content with how things have been going. Now it's up to Mystic to find some kind of initiation, to find some kind of play, because Lee Sin performs best in this early to mid-game phase.
Well, we do see at least that bot lane is able to get that push in, so we'll see whether or not they're going to be able to do that. Solo has to head on back to the base. Does have the Ghost Blade completed, though, so maybe we start to see this Lee Sin start to make appearances onto these side lanes and start looking for some kills. But in all honesty, this has been one of our, arguably, our slowest early game. I think this is the first time we've hit 5 minutes and not a single kill has taken place across the rift.
Interesting to see that neither side is really going for an aggressive play. I think it's been difficult. Like we've mentioned, Inspire and Mystic very close in skill, so it's not as easy for them to go for these solo kills, these aggressive plays, invading into the enemy jungle alone. Up top side, honestly, that's been our closest matchup. Right, we've been seeing the Olaf versus Malphite matchup the closest so far. Malphite always getting taken down, and Olaf generally does pretty well that lane.
You do see, though, that a little bit of an invade now coming out from Mystic. They want to try and get aggressive. They say, all right, you know what? This Lee Sin has that first item completed, but not able to do a whole lot there over the wall. That Fizz actually goes as well. As, again, I'm kind of disappointed. I really wanted to start to see some action via this mid lane. Again, these are both assassins that want to roam forward, but as you see, again, just aggression coming out. Solos just makes an appearance in mid lane. You know what? Living Shadow just gets them back to safety. Unfortunately, they're not able to transpire anything else.
Living Shadow being safe defensively like that is a pretty interesting sign. Meanwhile, we take a look up into the Baron lane.
Oh my. Oh no, there you go. Dragon's Rage into the Sonic Wave, and there you go. It's First Blood finally coming on the board, but immediately going to be answered here with the Dragon coming out from Inspire.
At least looking to try and pick this one up to respond with that top lane kill is a good move coming in from Inspire, getting the neutral objective. They're not too concerned. Even with the loss of the first turret, they can still look to try and push forward despite all of that.
So
Alright, gonna be pretty
just
satisfied with that little bit of a pickup. Otherwise, we're starting to see them come to a point of power because now we have the Big Amumu ultimate, we have the Ashe ultimate. They can start looking to group up a little bit. Once the initial turrets get taken down, Rift Herald is a pretty big objective considering how much wave clear is available on both sides. It can really help to start break open the map.
Well, there you go. We'll see whether or not that's going to actually be the case here, as still only that single kill in trade for Drake. And man, granted, if you were telling me this would be the scoreline at 7.5 minutes, I'd say this is one of our more patient games. But in that mid lane, there you go, some decent damage coming out here from Jess, forcing out the flash. And no Zhonya is now being available for the Fizz. Still has Ignite, though. And you do see for now they want to back off, but now Fredo starting to get themselves a bit of that experience gap starting to form, as that's now 2 levels above. Meanwhile, Solo's into the mid lane, gets the flash on down, but the Living Shadow able to avoid that resonating strike from coming through from Solos. And again, close but no cigar. Still only the single kill so far between these two squads.
Honestly, such great play coming in from the Zed. Being able to dodge away from a number of these ganks, dodging away from these kills, knowing when to use his death mark, how to counter against the Fizz, has taken away every form of counterplay away from this Fizz player right now. Just waiting for the right moment to start being able to pick up kills. And it's really terrifying if you're on the side of Mystic, because you don't want to give this chance to let him start scaling up. We've seen what happens when he gets the solo kill. He starts stacking it up. He acts as a big threat in the other lanes. He's able to move over and start going for the split push, being able to take down turrets when the enemy looks to try and respond by going elsewhere in the map. Otherwise, just going to use this Rift Herald to dish a bit of damage onto this enemy turret.
I think they're
going to go for a second charge, yeah.
Yeah, they didn't actually get a whole lot there, because that tower was just going to go down pretty easily as they were able to zone off the opposing members of that squad. But instead, for now, only able to get a little bit of pressure. But that mid lane tower going down here on the side of Inspire does mean that this Fizz can push up a little bit, and we can start to see that roam come out here, and that Zed has to kind of deal with that kind of pressure that's going to be exerted from that midsection of the map. Meanwhile, though, bot lane starting to lose out here, as that's going to be the bot lane tower going down here in favor of Inspire.
Yeah, Botling turret going down means a little bit less safety for the Ezreal for the Sona, but I think they should still be okay. Ezreal generally needs a little bit more time to start scaling up, to start ramping up where he gets his Muramana, and is able to do a lot of damage. So he should still be content with the way things have been going in lane for now. Loses the turret, they scale up, they should be able to go for some team fights after on. Honestly, so far things have been going pretty well for Inspire. Mystic definitely unhappy about how things have been going, but it could be going better, right? They are playing a little bit into Inspire's hands, where Inspire is looking to just try and scale up and get stronger while they wait for Mystic to hit their power spike and then start falling off. Because Indonesia and Inspire right now are capable of getting stronger as the game goes on, whereas Mystic, they hit a certain point, they spike up, and then they drop after.
Oh, there you go. Nice look underneath tower, though, but in comes that Fizz, trying to get the damage on down. It's going to be a 1-for-1. Ashe going down low. In comes the Lee Sin as well. A beautiful stun, though, underneath the tower is able to just delay them a little longer, but unfortunately, that is going to be the trades coming on through, and the poor Amumu will fall as well, and that Olaf has now come online, and that is going to be multiple kills going in favor of Malaysia. Meanwhile, mid lane, though, we finally see Jess appear back onto the map, and they're going to try and at least get the second-tier tower in mid.
Good call coming in from Inspire to at least go for this push in the mid lane, so they're trying to respond in turn. VY has to flash away from this one. Solo still looking aggressive, chases in as the Olaf coming in with the kill.
Unfortunately there, Jess is going to see their teammate fall. The Malphite gets just turned into dust and stone. And there we go. We were kind of waiting for this point at this point. We wanted to see when this game was going to start to be broken wide open, and now Solos as well as this Fizz going to lane, trying to make plays happen. And on top of that, trying to look for this Drake. We'll see, though, Amumu wants to try and find their way into the pit. A nice, though, Q connects on over, and Solos gets a 3-man kick onto the back line. And there you go. It's going to be a sweep coming on through. Amumu ultimate, though, wants to try and turn back the fight. True Shot Barrage, though, able to cut down the back line. And they also look back toward the Drake. It's 4 members down. And Malaysia striking once more on the Rift.
Mystic hits hard, taking down Inspire, being able to find the dragon as well, only continues to further their cause. And we were talking about how Mystic were playing into the hands of Inspire, they're working at a slow tempo. Well, now they've taken back control of the game. They've decided that this is going to be their moment. They've noticed when Inspire is going to look for a play, they've made their own, they've countered that reaction, they've countered the call that Inspire made. And now they're going to be up ahead. They should be looking to see how they want to translate this into their next play.
But now you kind of look here, Inspire, this is kind of your first match that you're starting to feel a little bit behind, and possibility that this perfect win streak throughout the Pentaboom Showdown comes to an end as Mystic came to play here, and you start to see that aggression trying to translate lane to lane, starting to take objectives. My question is here, Grandin, do we expect Inspire to be able to let this game go long enough that they can scale back here? Maybe the Zed can find a key member during a team fight? Or are we just going to keep on seeing Malaysia just kind of run it through and start just taking all these fights?
Like we mentioned, you could see Inspire come in and start scaling up once Mystic drops in power. The issue really comes right now if they're still going to be able to deal with the side lane threats. Because once the Fizz is able to start split push and deal with the Z1v1, then just kind of loses his purpose in the side lane. So then you ask, okay, can he at least kill a priority target? Well, you look on the side over of Mystic, they don't really have someone easy to go for, right? Even the Ezreal, who is a marksman, has a lot of mobility, has a lot of protection right now. Very difficult to take him down. They're looking for this early Baron. They're trying to cement the win before the enemy team can respond.
Here comes Jesso over the one side, and Mumu as well into the backside, and they steal away the Baron! And oh no, for Malaysia! It is a tragedy, as just like that, Inspire are able to find their way back into this game. You see Fredo gonna try and do what they can, but unfortunately, the collapse came through, and just like that, that massive lead goes down the drain as the Amumu comes in to steal it away. Maybe they trade back a kill, but that massive advantage just gets wiped from the Rift, and they're taking the second tier tower in mid.
What a play coming in! Stealing the Baron away, one of the few things that would keep Inspire in the game. In fact, I think this pushes them ahead. I don't think that Mystic has a way to try and deny the push coming in, so they should just be able to pick up the inhibitor turrets. Once they're able to do so, They've gained control back of the map. They can scale back up. They can look for time to farm if they want to. They have super minions spawning into the enemy side of the base. Now it's up to Mystic. They always have to be aware when the enemies are going to look to try and make a push in, when they're going to look to try and just take down the turrets.
And we talked
play for Mystic now.
And we talked about it during our pregame is you got to go for those, 50-50 plays if you want to try and make something happen. Heck, you got to take those 30-70 plays if you're this far behind, and it pays off here for Inspire. And now for Team Mystic, you had this game in control, and now things start to get a little bit out of control. You've already lost out onto onto your inhibitor tower via mid. You're always going to have to deal with those super minions, and the timer, it just keeps going, and they keep finding picks like that. In comes the Malphite ultimate, not able to connect, though, onto the Olaf. Teleport, though, is going to come out from Jess, and they are looking for a dive underneath the tower. Tower going down to about half health. Fredo gets taken on down, and there you go. Tower joins them, and Inspire, they find one opening, and they look to take every single thing on the map away from Mystic as they're going to pile on in. It's a double kill for Jess, and they're knocking on the door of the base once more.
Like you mentioned, you have to go for the 50-50 plays, and just being able to steal away the Baron, I mean, that's a critical moment. Now going into the Nexus, looking to try and end things off. The Curse of the Set Mummy won't even be needed, as jumping into the backline, the Fist looks to survive a little bit longer, but doesn't have the help do so. They're on the Nexus, they're looking to end things off.
And there you go, Nexus falls, and you can see the celebration coming on through. It was a barn burner, but Inspire able to bring